Hey peeps, Dr. H here one more time. I wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up on the submission of assignments and the detailed course schedule, which have just come online. So we're going to start from the internet browser. So once you get to eLearning, the eLearning site on your own system, obviously you're going to click on our course, which is Humanities Through the Arts. And then you're going to see something like this. Now give me just a second while I switch to a student view. It's not going to change that much, but I'm changing to the student view so that you can see exactly what you will see as a student. Hopefully many of you have already watched the introduction vid, but this is what I would like you to see. If you go to the Contents tab, excuse me, you will see now there is, in addition to all the other things, something called a detailed course schedule. This is in that left-hand column on our activities or contents tab. So notice here, contents. If you click on that, you're going to get this image that comes up, which is our detailed course schedule. And this shows when things start on this left column and when things are due. And you will notice that the majority of things are not due until the end of the semester. But I wanted to point out a couple of things. The perception key questions are occurring after every single chapter except for the final student choice chapter. We'll talk about that just in a minute, a little bit more. The only thing that is not due on the end of the semester at the 19th are things that have to do with the podcast questions. For example, you will notice that the first podcast, the question that you submit for that podcast is due on July 19th, and that's because that podcast airs on July 20th. Likewise, the next podcast, the questions need to be submitted by July 26th, and that's because that podcast airs on the 27th. So just be aware that there are some things that are you can't wait until the end of the semester, and those things simply are the questions you submit to the artists for the podcast. Everything else is due at the end of the semester. Now you will notice that some things do not start until later in the semester. So for example, chapter 2 and 3, while it will be open already, the perception key questions are not going to start until the July 10th. But they're not due until the 19th of August, until the end of the semester. This is to give you time, if you need to go back and reread, take your time to do these questions. Likewise, chapters 4 and 5 are not going to open up until the 17th, but again, they're not going to be due until 17th of July, that is, but they're not going to be due until August 19th. So you got plenty of time to do these. If you have any difficulties understanding this schedule, please shoot me an email. I will try to clarify it, but I think this is fairly self-explanatory. Now, one more item, when you go to our course homepage, you'll notice down here there is a calendar, and it does show you when things are starting, when they are due. And so notice how it says here, section 1, the introductions are due. You can pretty much ignore that. Those things are, the introductions, I'm going to give you to the end of the semester to actually complete them, although I don't think you're going to need that much time. But notice how everything else is showing due. For example, the podcasts and so forth, it's showing that they are due. That is not true. Notice that the podcast, I'm sorry, those are true. Notice that the podcast questions, right, are due prior to the day before they air. So do pay attention to those. But when in doubt, all you have to do is go to the Contents tab and look at the detailed course schedule. Now, as far as section 1 goes, notice that when you click on that, You have a couple of things here, a description of what's going on. It shows you up here at the top that when it is due. And this is just simply that discussion topic. Don't worry. Again, if you don't get it in by the 10th, you're going to have plenty of time. It tells you when it starts. It started on June 27th. So you guys should have access to this by now. But essentially what you're doing, you would watch that introduction vid, and then you would click on this assignment, which is Humanities Art Introduction. And when you click on that, it brings you up to the assignment description. And this just shows you everything that it's asking you to do. If you remember, I was talking to you in the video about the perception key questions. It says here to first go to the discussions tab and answer the discussion topic question. Well, if you click on that, you come up with the discussion topic question, and this is just an item for discussion. So I'm going to bring this window up over here so you can see it. The question is to read the first chapters of our text, The Humanities Through the Arts, then provide the following. Based upon your reading of this chapter, how has your interpretation of what is meant by the study of humanities changed? Okay, so in order for you to answer this question, you're going to have to start a new thread. Before you can do that, you're going to have to subscribe to the topic. So just understand that as something that you have to do. There are different ways you can get to these discussion topics. Let's talk about that for a second. You can always go up to the Activities tab and you can go to Discussions. When you do that, then you're brought up to this discussions page. Notice that our first discussion, Who Are You, is something that you're going to need to do. So if you click on that, again, you are going to need to subscribe to this topic. So you can read any post you want, like this is the post that I posted. If you click on that, then you get this. You get to read all about me. But first, what you should do is subscribe to the topic, and that's going to be included in your activities. And so, in order to introduce yourself, you would simply start a new thread. Then this window will come up. You can put the subject such as hello, or if you want, you could put who are you? And then just simply type I am me. And actually, I would like a little bit more info than that. Please do give me some interesting info about yourself. Say something about yourself. Tell me a little bit about why you're taking this course. You can also, if you wish, you can also include a photograph of yourself. In order to do that, you would go to this little handy dandy drop down box and go to insert image, and then just follow the instructions from there. Okay, so I hope that subscribing to the discussion topics has become clear for you. Once again, the instructions for each of these discussion topics is clearly listed here. There are 2 discussion topics in the first forum, and that is introductions. Now, as far as assignments go, so if you go back to this Activities tab and you go to the assignment drop boxes, click on that, then you're going to see this list of drop boxes available to you. If they are blued, that means you can click on them and they will take you someplace. If they're not, you can't click on them yet. Not until they are available. And you'll notice here there's an opens date by each of these. So when you click on the Who Are You, that's going to bring you to the discussions topics. If you click on this, it's going to bring you to this page. And this is where you are going to answer those perception key questions. Now notice it said to first go to the discussions topic and answer the discussion topic question. Okay, so that's different. This part is Provide short answers to the perception key questions found at the end of the reading, viewing sections. They each bear the name of a work of art you are asked to evaluate. Okay? And here are the works of art that you're being asked, and it asks you to choose 4 out of the 7 questions. So each of these has perception questions. Just choose 4 of the 7, 3 of the 5, 4 of the 6, and so forth. And you're going to submit your answers in this box down here. Okay? Once you have typed your answers, you just hit the submit button and they are automatically transported to me. Let me just also reiterate to you, you do not need to be extraordinarily elaborate with your answers. I'm not the grammar police. I'm not going to grade you on grammar. All you have to do, folks, is just answer a few questions, and you'll be able to do these with ease, I'm sure. If you have any difficulties, just shoot me an email. I will help you all I can. But you do need to do these perception key questions, and they will be at the end of each chapter, and they will have to do with the readings, the materials that we are viewing. Okay, so a couple of other things just to consider. Let's go back to the contents tab. You will notice how this first podcast has a couple of things associated with it. It says it starts on June 27th, and that's only because I did include it in the beginning stages of the construction of the course. You'll see here you have a description of the Viri Cante Sacre Cantores, which is the first ensemble, the first artist group you're going to hear. And it's showing you that the air date is the July 20th. That's when the podcast will become live and will be published. And then it also says that you need to submit at least 1 question to each of the artists, in this case the ensemble, and it must be submitted the day before. So it's got to be submitted by 11:59 p.m. Tuesday, July 19th. Once again, that's because that podcast airs on the 20th. In order for us to give your questions to the artists, we have to have it before we go live. So hopefully that will help you. And there will be a sample of their work available to you starting tomorrow, July 6th. So you'll be able to click on a little snippet of their sound. You can hear them, and then you can submit your questions. Now, these questions do not have to be elaborate, folks. They can be very simple, very basic. If you want to ask, something like, how did you get started in this? Or what is your interest in this? Or do you do any other type of musical singing, things like that? Please feel free to ask questions that interest you about this group, but you must submit at least 1 question. Okay, so the questions will be submitted in the same manner that that you would submit any other written assignment. So you'll have a little window that will come up when the assignment comes live, and you'll just type in your question, hit submit, and you're done. Just remember to do them before the deadline. Okay, so I hope this has clarified a couple of things with respect to assignments and the contents tab. You will notice that most of the sections are already available to you. You can view them, but you cannot do any of the assignments because they're not open yet. So you got to wait till those assignments open before you can read them and look at them. This is to encourage you to get 1 assignment done at a time. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful to you. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
Love makes me treat you the way that I do. Gee, baby, ain't I good to you? There's nothing too good for a girl that's so true. Gee, baby, ain't I good to you?